Alright guys, welcome to your last part of your review, second part for your unit test on angles, unit 3 on angles. I'm going to try and keep this one fairly short as well. I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail. Most of you worked through the practice test today and asked the questions you needed to, but just kind of make sure you all know exactly what's happening. We're down to this bottom half of learning targets. I'm going to start talking about converses, talk about the flowchart proofs, and then all this hit and bounce stuff. That's on the plate for today. To help kind of keep this short, I will be referring to other videos that are already out there. I don't know why some of the YouTube ones aren't showing up, guys. You can always get to these through Google Video. A lot of people are finding them there better. I don't know if YouTube's just slow showing them. You can always send me an email. I normally go to bed somewhere between 9 and 10, so if you're watching this later than that, that's probably not going to work. But you can send me an email, and I can send you the link to the YouTube one directly, so you can just click on the link and get to it that way. Alright, so let's go ahead and talk about the first learning target. It says, I can use the converse of the relationships between special angle pairs to prove whether or not two lines are parallel. Well, first of all, you got to know what those converses are. And the idea is, our ones that we had, that we've been talking about, it always starts with, if two lines are parallel, then AIA are congruent, or whatever it is. This one works backwards. This one says you can check the angles, and if alternate interior, alternate exterior, or corresponding are congruent, or if same side interior, same side exterior are supplementary, that proves right away that the lines are parallel. When you guys did this in class, most people had the idea just fine, but a lot of people were missing a lot of the explanation, okay? So if I look at this problem, I want to know, whoa, screen's moving on me. I want to know, are those two lines parallel? So I'm going to pick my favorite kind of angles. Well, my favorite kind of angles are alternate interior. Don't ask why, they just are. I like them a lot. So I'm first going to pick out my pair of alternate interior angles. So if that one's an alternate interior, its pair is going to be over here, that angle over there. So I'm going to use my protractor. I've got to measure those angles and see, well, all right, come on, protractor. There we go. All nice and lined up. All right, so this bottom one here, if I'm following it along, is right at about 125 degrees. Do make sure, and this is one place where I'm going to be looking for, this is considered your work for this problem. Please make sure you write that number somewhere near that angle, so I know you measured that angle right there, and it's 125 degrees. Don't make me guess. Don't kind of put it in the middle. Don't make me guess as to which angle you measured. Make sure you put it right by the angle that you measured. Alright, I'm going to spin my protractor around, measure my other angle. This is a lot easier on paper than it is on the smartboard. Haha. Alright, so I follow my angle along, look it upside down. This one's much closer to like 137. I'm still going to write that on there. Even though in my mind I already know what I'm going to say for my final answer, I have to show all my work. I'm going to put my 137 right there by that angle. When you write your explanation to me, and this is where a lot of people have a feeling are going to miss some points, please make sure you tell me yes or no. So, no, these lines are not parallel. I'm going to be looking for that because, and here's the kicker, do not simply say the angles. If you say the angles, you're going to miss points. You have to tell me which ones you used. In this case, because AIA are not congruent. You have to be specific. You can't just say the angles. I have to know that you know which converse you're using. Okay? So, this would be my explanation. If I can get this so it doesn't fall over on the lines. And if I were to be grading this problem like this, I'm going to look for these angle measures. I'm going to look to see that the ones you measured match the ones in your explanation. I'm going to make sure you actually say it in your explanation. That's exactly how this type of problem is done. Alright, let's go into everybody's favorite that everybody's kind of terrified of. I can explain a flowchart proof. The idea is, I'm not going to make you make a flowchart proof. You don't have to translate it all on your own or anything like that. But you do need to know what a flowchart proof is and how it works. So, what you're going to do, and you can actually look at the video, the one that's titled Tuesday, October 30th. That goes in detail at exactly what you need to do. That's all it's about, is just this one learning target. I think that one's about 8 minutes long. But if this is the learning target that's stressing you out, I would definitely go and watch that video. It tells you exactly what you need to do. Okay? On the test, you'll get a flowchart proof, just like on the practice quiz, or practice test. The one on the actual test is shorter, don't worry, but it's there. And things I'm looking for. I'm going to be looking for an introduction. Do not simply start with, the first thing is given. Tell me what the theorem is. The theorem that we're trying to prove is the right angles theorem. And that theorem says blah, 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 blah. Okay? That'll be on the paper, but I want you to put it into words. So this is probably going to be a pretty long writing piece. Make sure you, if there's a picture, you can explain the picture. Make sure you said, we're given angle A and B. We have to prove that they're congruent or whatever it happens to be. I'm really, really looking. These other two things are so important. These are the keys to a flowchart proof. I'm really looking for a lot of transition words. I know you've had language arts classes that have talked about transition words, right? First, second, third, next, therefore, because of. You know, things that you'll be using a lot because of this. Since this is true, these two ideas combine to be something else. The other key thing I'm looking for in your flowchart proof is the separation of ideas. The fact that some of the things we have come from our givens. Given this, we know this, we know this. But then there's always this other thing we kind of pull in, like that reflexive property everybody hates that we just know. All right? So I'm going to be looking for things like a separate idea, or we also know that, or unconnected to the other idea, we also have the knowledge of whatever, right? So those are things I'm really, really looking for. But like I said, if you want a detailed explanation, there's already a video on it. It's detailed. I made it. I know what's in it. It's exactly what you're going to be looking for your test. All right. One more thing to talk about. How are we doing on time? Look at that, guys. It's only 7 minutes. We're going real quick tonight. All right. The last three learning targets all deal with this idea of hit and bounce angles. Remember, we technically have the angle of reflection and angle of incidence, but they're way too hard to measure, so we're just going with a hit and bounce angle. Three things that you're going to have to do. It says, I can determine if a hit and bounce angle is drawn correctly. So you're basically going to check what's already there. I can draw a correct hit and bounce angle. That's the one where you're going to have you draw your own from scratch, like we did on that project on Monday. If you got that far in your practice tests, which I'm hoping everybody at least flipped through the whole thing to see it, there's a little mini course where you're going to hit it twice. So you're going to be drawing the path yourself. And the one that's the most difficult of the three is the I can reflect a point across the line. That's where you have to hit a hole in one on a course that's already designed. That's what we did on Tuesday. Your general idea, your hit angle and your bounce angle in the picture, but I think everybody has, they have to be congruent, right? Physics simply dictates that if we hit a solid surface, if we hit a flat surface, the hit and bounce angles are going to be congruent. It's how it works. So the three things you're going to do, if I ask you to check, so if I say, is this a correct path, or is this a correct hit angle, make sure you mark your measurements. Don't just give me a sentence. I'm going to be looking for 35 degrees and 42 degrees somewhere on your paper, all right? Make sure you mark on the angles you measured what they are. You must give me a sentence. Don't just say, yes. Say yes because the hit and bounce angles are congruent, or no because the hit and bounce angles are not congruent. I want to see that full explanation. When I ask you to draw your own, all right, I'm going to pause this, guys. Sorry. All right, sorry, guys. All right, I'm pretty sure I was on the drawing your own. So when I ask you to draw your own, this should actually be the easiest out of all of these. Start with a golf ball. Basically, put a dot on the paper. Draw any line you want to hit a wall. I would not draw it at just straight 90 degrees. That's going to mess you up. But any line you want. Measure your hit angle, and then draw your congruent bounce angle. Repeat. Right? So you're basically measuring as you go. Once you've had your golf ball hit the walls as many times as required, or as many times as you want to, before you hit the next wall, just simply place the hole when you're done bouncing the ball. And then you add in the obstacles, the water, and that kind of stuff after you've got your path drawn. Okay? So this is one where you kind of start from the beginning and you just measure as you go. The tough one, right? The one where you have to draw your perfect hole-in-one path, it's not tough. It's just a lot of detail to it. Step one, you have to choose the wall you're going to hit with the golf ball. This has to be conscious in your mind. You can't just go on to step two without really thinking about which wall you're going to hit. I don't mean sitting there and concentrating, like, ooh, sitting there for 5 minutes trying to figure this out, but you have to think to yourself, I'm going to hit the wall on the left. Because if you don't, you may reflect the hole over the wrong wall, and then things are going to be messy. Okay? So step 2, once you've chosen that wall, you reflect the hole over it. If you don't remember how to reflect a point, please go back to the video that says Monday, November 5th. Again, if you need links sent to you, just please send me an email. If I have time, I'm going to email it to everybody today. We'll see if I have time to do that. Okay, but if you don't remember how to reflect a point, go back to that video. It tells you exactly how to do it. Once you have that reflection, you aim at it. So you basically line up your protractor with your golf ball in that reflection, and then it bounces off the wall and hits straight into the hole. Okay, so that's your test. So you've had some review on it. You had a practice test that literally looks exactly like your test tomorrow. The numbers are obviously different. The golf courses are set up differently. It is the same number of problems, the same type of problems, the same order. There is not a single surprise on that test tomorrow. And if you act like there's a surprise on the test tomorrow, we're going to have some issues. Okay? I think you're going to be fine. I really do. All right? So thank you for listening. Look at that. Under 15 minutes. I'm so proud.